All right, what up, y'all? So I'm gonna try to record this and it be short because I'm trying to sleep. I've been doing like 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the last 2 weeks or so, or whenever the fuck I recorded the last video. I'm in work hell. But anyway, let's get out another offense video while I am partially sick because everyone else around me is sick, so they want to just give me the ick. So, in this video, I am going to talk about a convoluted part of offense that is not really highlighted in structuring your offense, which is doing nothing. It's a very unique case where you have your turn, but you're deliberately doing nothing, which sounds very stupid on paper, probably to some of y'all, because it's just like, wait, I have my turn. Why would I not take advantage of it? Well, this video will show you why. So the footage here is really old. I think it's like a year old plus at this point. Of me and Itoshi playing, and Itoshi is one of my FGC children. But the thing is, one thing I generally do in sets, since I'm doing checkups on any of the FGC children once I play them, is I let them actually dictate the match pace a lot. And there's reasons behind that. And I think this video will be the perfect showcase of what I'm talking about in this video. So bear with me. Shout out to the Bomber Cyberfunk OST. I'm having that in the background real quick while I go through this, just because I'm pretty sure I had like other copyrighted music in this, but I could care less. It's not like I get any of these videos monetized. But before we fully get in, and I know I'm gonna end up talking about something and need to pause probably soon, knowing myself in play. Let's rewind back. And I'll just pause it now, and let's rewind back to other things I talked about that are in relation to this topic, which are reward sourcing, understanding space, and tempo. Those three things all tie into this, because this is a very unique case of adding ambiguity to your offense, but not in the other way I talked about it. So, the thing about playing around with this concept is the fact that sometimes you're going to give away space or you're going to deliberately do nothing to force interaction on your opponent or enforce a gap, right? Where I said, stop thinking about stagger pressure and think more about making gaps. Where now, the gap is not the fact that you're having a gap in your button structure, but now it's a gap in your actions. Where you are actually deliberately stopping your actions to sit there and actually feel out what's happening and cater to something based off of that. So how does that tie into the other three topics? So the thing is, it highly ties into tempo, because of the fact that if I'm setting a pace where if I hit you immediately at round start, and then I'm pressuring you super heavy after the first interaction, but then I slow down, I've now changed the tempo because of the fact that now at that point, instead of you dealing with the fact that I am pressing a whole bunch of shit in your face and make you really pay attention to what I'm doing, I now stopped doing things. And now you have to sit there and be like, well, am I free to press buttons? Because now you stopped. Because now you're thinking, well, is it my turn? Like, that's what my opponent is thinking at that point. Is it my turn? Same way, it allows for me to play against the other things where it's like, now I'm trying to resource reward through the fact that I'm waiting for you to commit an action, and that action can vary, because now it's not limited to pressing buttons and trying to get mileage through getting a potential counter hit or something like that. Now I'm trying to get mileage solely through the fact that I am now baiting something in a natural case of my pressure instead of it being a hard bait, and I'm going to talk about the difference of those in a separate video. The same way, space. I get to play around space a lot, utilizing this, because now giving away space adds to the fact that I can make gaps. So let's get into it. I haven't watched this in a while, but I just have the feeling I know what's going to happen, because, again, I just know myself as a player, and I know how I interact with these players. So the thing is, like, right now, as you see, I am actually blocking a lot, which is funny as a character that's an ape until that DP. Because now, instead of me rushing someone down as the quote-unquote rush down character, I'm actually taking a lot more time to look for options, which, funny enough, 2 options were scouted there. Naturally, with me committing less. So this is a normal interaction on Chia that's a throw bait, basically. Like, that's like me going for Rising JC like that is normally a throw bait. But because of Chie things, she's basically actionable by movement and buttons after any button she presses on block. Because reasons. So it allows for me to look for things and add very unique cases where it's like, you have to think about, am I going to commit and still fully run my offense based off of this button? Or am I going to do nothing? There's a different ways of playing around that. Or in this case, I did nothing, but I was able to immediately chase another action. So, like, I fell down pressing JA, which would have covered if any standing button would have happened. But it's low committal because of the fact that it's like, I'm still pushing my pressure in a sense, but I'm also, like, paying attention just enough with pressing that JA where it's like, alright, there's no way I'm going to get counter hit anti-air here, so it's kind of like, alright, let me just press this button on the way down, let's see what happens. It's also super quick, so in a case of late reaction, I might not get punished at all. So, in this roll case, where it's like I immediately followed up on the fact that I literally pressed a button and rewind too far, of course. Like, now I was able to see this roll and actually chase the roll. Right? So, that happened because I gave myself that breath. The same way in the following interaction where Itoshi super jumped out by, like, alright, let me super jump out, but place a trap. I did something I would have covered my next pressure option, which also, funny enough, covered this trap. But because they super jumped out into trap, and Chie being Chie, now, in the case of me knowing, Itoshi does not want to be quartered by me. Through the history of playing Itoshi, does not want to be quartered because it's just a super bad spot for them, because me having that mileage of the space means I have super mileage in the game. Now it means I have the feeling, especially in this case, they're going to air dash forward. So my natural thing is in space management, right? Which is funny enough, I overcommitted, which means like, oh shit, I'm all the way over here. I technically, like, I did all this shit. But the thing is, like, I can still manage space from here to get mileage because now I can backdash, cover for the air dash distance, and then contest anything happening because they're trying to return to mid-screen to get away from the corner. Naturally in the play. Versus me hard committing to baiting something. Same way in a case like this, right? I know that the dash cancel is negative, right? So knowing a dash cancel is -3, especially in a fighting game like this, where it's like a lot of characters can interact with a -3 dash cancel. I sat there, ran forward, and added a DP, which is a hard read. That's a straight up hard read of like, hey, you're gonna press the button, but if you don't, knowing I'm Chie and I have a quick cancel DP because this character is blessed to high hell, I can still take my pressure off of that. Which, like, yeah, that's a hard bait, but the thing is that from that hard bait, it gives me the ability to still follow up. Same way, the way I'm pressing buttons here and the structure of my buttons, that also has a play. Where, yeah, I'm pressing a lot of buttons. Like, you see, I'm doing 5A, 2A, 5A, then I'm pressing other buttons, but the thing is, I'm pressing a good amount of buttons that are not committal. Because now, and it gives me the ability to scout, because now I can look for things in a very unique sense. Where, funny enough, another hard throw bait read / hard read, but I was able to scout through the air backdash here this roll that I baited naturally in my pressure without giving really up my pressure, because now I naturally put it into my pressure where you have to pay attention to the fact that I'm doing that and still manage to get mileage off of it. Why did I roll? That's probably playing defense bad. That's just like, that's probably just doing that shit for the love of the game. But like, I can naturally do things like that just by, instead of worried about pressing buttons for offense, I'm now doing it by adding gaps in a more unique sense to my offense. But you have to pay attention to not committing, because committing is also a problem too, right? You can easily commit too hard, and that also leads to your downfall, which is what I will talk about again in the video, which is funny enough, hard baits. Time is comedic, where you don't need to bait hard. You really don't. Like, you can naturally bait things without committing super hard. And there's multiple ways of doing that. But like, one thing is that knowing, hey, you don't have to press something. Like in this case, I got mileage solely be there and got my pressure back after whiffing throw and everything. After basically, I just waited. I just sat there. Eventually, Itoshi committed by running forward. So really, this B punch that I did in response was checking forward movement. It wasn't really to do anything. It was just to check forward movement. Like, I got hit after, but like, all I did was check movement. I didn't do anything. Like, gotta pay attention to stuff like that. Let's skip forward. So, just in like the prior section on offense, where it's like, stop focusing on stagger pressure and create gaps. Well, your gaps aren't just by you pressing buttons. You can have gaps by the way you decide when to press buttons. So instead of it being on the timing of the button presses, it's when I'm pressing the buttons. That adds a whole different layer. When I decide to take advantage of my turn, right? This character's a scumbag. So you can interact in ways like that, which also adds to that. And again, it adds to being able to look for different things in offense naturally that don't rely on, oh, I have to press a button to do it. Or I'm structuring, funny enough, naturally to bait things without hard baiting them. You can do both. Like, you do both. Like, naturally, again, gifted character, I'm pressing a non-committal jump cancel normal, where I have any action after it. In me doing this neutral jump JB, especially it was on Rising, it allows me to scout for things like this DP and naturally bait it without needing to hard commit to baiting it. Like, I didn't have to safe jump. I didn't have to sit there and hard read it while doing nothing. I was able to naturally bait it in my pressure structure without really focusing on it too hard. That is something you can all naturally add to your offense. That is as simple as sometimes don't press anything, or sometimes change the tempo dramatically on how fast you're pressing something to somebody, to the point where it's like your gaps are now in your timing of when you're deciding to take advantage of your turn versus actually taking your turn. I overcommitted there. I'm being greedy. I guess it still worked out. So there's multiple ways to approach making gaps. That is not just being the ambiguity through your cancels. You can also make gaps by your timings of when to take initiative on your offense. And I think it's very important to understand that, because of the fact that it adds so much once you can sit there and think hard about, like, hey, instead of me focusing on, I need to try to hit you, let me focus on the fact that I can sit there and like not play the interaction game by not doing anything. And that version of the interaction game can also gain you mileage. So let's just watch the last round and chill, and we'll just end the video there. I think I've said enough. And yeah, again, I'm trying to keep this video short because I really want to pass out before I wake up to do more work and then have to sit there and wake up at 6 a.m. again. Shout out to me dropping a suck. But yeah, that's your quick video while I have time. I might, once I wake back up, and if I to get my work done quick, record another video where I talk about the difference between hard and soft baits and why you actually never want to hard bait, or really, in a lot of cases, you never want to bait in general because it plays into the resource game. But yeah, the fun of it. Later, y'all.